Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm starting out with my shape that I picked from the previous video. I'm going to use something like this, and then what I'm going to do is create the front, side, and top viewport of this. And this is going to be really rough. And the first way I'm going to do it is I'm going to start by sketching or by selecting my brush. I tend to like using a hard round brush, and all I do is put on shape dynamics for the size, and that gives me just a little bit more of a sketchier feel, like so. And then what I'm going to do is basically is start with a center line, and that's just going to be up and down. So I've got my background layer, and I've got my thumb layer here, and then I've just got another layer where I'm working on right now. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, start with my center line and go up and down, and this way I can just mirror it down the road. And then I'm just going to start sketching out kind of the shape I want, and just kind of going off your idea. Now, you don't have to follow the thumbnail. You can just do pretty much any shape that follows along the lines that you like, and that's why you can kind of just manipulate this in there. For the most part, all I'm doing is just following my ideas, going off of that. And the great thing about ideas is you can always change them. So here I'm just drawing the engine house, or whatever you want to call it, and just kind of doing it that way. And now I decided I didn't like that shape, so I'm just drawing here, kind of arcing it a little bit more. And I'm deciding I don't like this straight edge in the back, so I'm just kind of manipulating the straight edge, arcing it a little bit more. And I'm putting in, you can be sketchy here, doesn't really matter. Excuse me. Now I'm just cleaning up the lines with the eraser tool. And I'm deciding I don't like that straight arch, so I'm going to just erase that out. And from here, I'm just going to sketch in a couple bit more lines until I'm kind of happy with the overall shape. I don't really like this back shape, so maybe I'm going to arch it out and extend the back hull a little bit. And that's the great thing, just change it up to the way you think it's going to look good. And just erase my lines here. And putting an arch here where I think I'm going to bend the wing in a bit. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this layer and just transform it. I'm going to mirror it, flip horizontal, and basically move it over. And I'm going to just lay it over to get my general shape here. And as I'm doing this, I realize that that tip shape doesn't look very good, so I'm going to modify that, and just cleaning up some lines. I also collapsed the layer here, Control E to collapse. And again, like I said, I don't like the tip shape, so I'm going to take care of that. And just kind of sketch this in. Now, because I'm doing this model myself, I'm not handing this off. You know, this drawing is going to be really rough, and so you guys can get the general idea of what it is. And then from there, what I'm going to do is put the windshield of some sort in there. And it's just a matter of sketching, sketching the little parts. I'm going to clean up some of the line work here. And, take your time at this. It's just one of those things that you should just practice with. And here I'm deciding I'm putting wings on here. So I'm just going to put little fin tails on there. I know in space it really doesn't matter, but yeah, it maybe adds a little bit of cool factor on there. Something different. Well, something interesting, something better to look at, and it also changes the overall outline of it. So I decided I'm going to put some type of a propulsion system on there. And now I'm just kind of putting grooves and fins and the little details. I'm going to go in scratch in some arcs there, maybe some just general shapes, and this is all going to change during the modeling process of it. I mean, I don't have a set design right now, so I'm just kind of getting a rough concept so I can, when I'm modeling, I can see how it looks in 3D. And now I'm just putting in, little plates and hulls and how it's kind of pieced together. And those type of things will add quite a bit to your to your artwork. I mean, those little details, and it doesn't look like much now because it's a simple black and white line drawing. I'm going to go clean up the overlay shape here. It doesn't look like much now, but those things, when you add them into the textures, are really quite a bit different. It adds so much detail if you add just little plates and how it's constructed. And then for this, I'm just gonna, create kind of a general shape down. And I'm just kind of giving it some texture and pattern here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this down so that I have a place for it. And this is just my initial location. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone this layer, hide the, well, I should rename these. So I think I'm going to start with the thumb, and I'll rename this. And then this one's the top. I'm going to rename this, and then this one is my top reference. So I'm going to rename that. And then I'm going to take this top reference and I'm going to flip it to the side, hide the other two here. And because I'm working in such big space, I can go back and I can actually transform it bigger so I can get more line work into there. I mean, if I'm paying attention to it. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sit here and I'm going to go to the top reference, and I'm going to lower the top reference so that I can't see the full thing through it. Go back to my working layer, and just start painting the side. So you see where the wings are right now. I'm going to just put the back end here, kind of this overall general shape of it, and I'll just draw on this. And the nice thing about diagonal stuff is if it's at a 45 on a diagonal, it's the same as top as it is on the sides. I'm just kind of arcing down kind of like that bird of prey look. And I kind of went outside the lines. Always make sure your edges match up so that when you are modeling, you don't have to deal with, trying to make adjustments between the lines. And then I'm going to go up a little bit here, create my window. And I'm going to create my hall system here, my ventilation system, if you will. I don't know why it would have a ventilation system, but that's what I decided at the moment. And now I'm going to go down and start putting in these base wings. And decide where they kind of flow downward. And then what I'm going to do is decide where I'm going with this. And just drawing in that space capsule thing there. And then I'm going to put in kind of an edge loop where I want the kind of a ridge to go. I'm not sure how I want it yet, but I have an idea where I want the ridge in there. Arch it around a little bit more. And then basically I'm just kind of putting a little bit of detail on the sides and seeing how I like that. And then this is the upper wing here. And I'm going to just change this down to about 30% just so I can kind of see through it, and yet it still shows me where my wing is. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the or show the top here, and I'm going to hide my or rename my reference here, and this is going to be my side, and I'm going to save my reference and then just hide it for now. And what I'm going to do is just rotate it around at my 90 degrees and move it over so that it's equivalent with the top view. And I'm going to just hit shift, I believe, to scale this in like so, kind of get the right angles there. And then I'm going to rotate it back, and I'm going to move it down here in the corner. And then what I'm going to do is, that's my layer right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and just move it in the corner, take my top and side off, and then I'm going to take my top reference and I'm going to rotate my top reference 40 or 90 so that I can start working on the front view. And this one basically is just a matter of taking your front angles and kind of getting that, what it's going to look like from the front. Now, if you're modeling this, you don't have to be precise, or as precise as you can. But if you have to give this off to somebody else, I recommend a lot more time involved making sure things measure up and line up a lot better. I'm just kind of positioning it now to line up with the other thing. And I'm just drawing these cylinders here. I'm just going to move it a little bit down where I want it. And I don't want a straight wing on this. If I can ever, so I'm going to have like kind of more of an arched wing that it'll land on. And then the upper wing, I'm going to basically create going up and kind of arch the wing like so. And so I reserve the right to make changes along the way. And that's my front. Put my little window in here, and I'm pretty close to just adding some little bits and pieces in here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this. This is going to be my front view, if I can spell front right. Now I'm going to basically transform this and I'm going to just transform this so that it matches up pretty close to the other one here. And once I'm happy with that, I'm basically going to drag it down. Now I'm going to make sure that the front view and the side view here are lined up. And so I'm going to just move this in. Now I don't want them overlapping for the reason that I'm going to do this next. Is you go to the crop tool and hold down, you get the slice tool. And now this is great because I worked on a 2000 by 2000 canvas, so I got enough space. So I'm going to cut this one first, cut this next one second, and make sure I'm down far enough, and basically cut this final one here. And then since I'm selected on the side, I'm going to just move this up a hair so that it lines up with move this up here so it lines up with my side image. And now they're a little off, so you can see I'm trying to adjust it somewhat in the middle so that I can play with it down the road here. And then I'm going to save this for web and devices, and it's going to tell me no, it doesn't like me because I have too big of a size. I'm going to go down here where you can't see. Sorry about this. I didn't realize it was out of the render window. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change it to PNG 24. I like PNGs. They're pretty decent. And basically I'm going to go and hold in go and select all the images, and then hold select slices with images only, and I'm going to just create a new folder real quick for this, and I think I call it spaceship. And now what I'm going to do is save this off, and when I export this, it'll have everything nice and cropped neat and ready. I don't have to deal with any of the panels or the pains of going in there. Now I just need to open up my window here, images, and then I'm going to just rename my windows. So all I have to do is pretty much more or less just rename them, and then they'll be ready to go for putting it in 3ds Max down the road. And so I've got the top, the side, the front, and I'm good to go. So I'll see you next time, I guess. Bye.